Aloha, hey, it's Julie Ziemelis, 365 Hawaii, real broker. And today we are giving you the June market report for the whole island. And we are joined by our esteemed colleagues, Lance Owens from Luba Real Estate. We've got Delania Branham from Real Broker, Amber Haley from Real Broker. We've got Janet Mahoney from KW Keller Williams. And then we have Joe Eagan from Wynn and Eagan. And he is our money guy. So and then we also have Eric Ziemelis. Eric, raise your hand. There you go. You're from Real Broker as well. And we have an exciting show for you today. We're going to be talking about what's happening around the island in terms of statistics and also what's happening with the rates. And then we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about what's going to be happening in the real estate industry this summer as the NAR settlements have come through and what it means for you. So let us start this fun with Lance in West Hawaii and what's going on with the West Hawaii market. Lance?
Hey, thanks, Julie. We just did our report the other day, so it seems weird jumping right in a few days later. But I was looking more at this month to see where we're trending. And do you remember in the meeting we were talking a little bit about we didn't have enough condos in escrow to actually even come close to what we did a year ago. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I did a little bit deeper dive into that. And on the condos, what we're tracking and the number of condos sold, we're going to be off close to 50% from what we were, the way we're tracking right now. Now, unless a bunch of them close in the next few days, that something could change there. But as it stands, we should be at 38 for the month, is what we did a year ago, and we're at 11, and it's the
Ooh.
20th.
Okay, did
So
I not say the market was slowing? Did I not say that?
you haven't let me finish yet, have
Okay.
you? So we're going to jump over to the homes, and on the homes, we're tracking to actually increase the number of homes. So last year we're tracking to close 42 this month, and last year we closed 40. So yeah, so we're tracking to be up a little bit in home sales, and we've seen the condos have pushed over 100 available for the last few weeks.
Mm,
So there's again a normal market. We should see 135, 140 somewhere in there.
yeah.
So we're getting closer to that normal market, but we're not there yet. And the number, it's kind of interesting because they're all getting hit with this insurance assessment right now. It's like if you haven't been hit with an insurance assessment, guess what? You're gonna be,
Mhm.
because it's just a matter of it's not if, it's just when. So I think we talked about it personally. Our homeowners insurance, we got an 87% increase this year, and I've got a 4-year-old home, metal roof, not in a fire zone, not along the coast, nothing like that. So yeah, so I don't know if I think that's what's pushed up the number of condos for sale. Some people are, they just can't afford a $400 or $500 a month hit in HOA fees. So we'll
Right,
see how
right.
the condo market unwinds. But yeah, it is going to be something close to watch.
Yeah. Hey, Eric, tell the group what happened to our escrow when they got the insurance hike over at Kona Coffee.
Oh, you're muted, Eric.
I got it. We've had this happen twice. One was at Kona Coffee Villas, and it was when we were about to close, and the amount that it went up was normally the HOAs were for a 2 bedroom, depending on the size, but the one we were looking at was somewhere around 650, and it went up by almost $300 a month, 280 to 300. So that was a pretty sizable jump considering that it was only 650 to start with. So they're getting pretty hard. And then the other one that I just saw was Keaho Resort, and theirs was a smaller jump. Their HOAs were for one bedroom were about 850, and they put on an extra $120 a month onto that to cover those new insurances
Wow.
for the HOA fees.
Mhm.
Hey, Joe, I got a question for you while we're going through this. If you could, I'm just thinking if that say a $300 a month increase in HOA fees, how much money would you have to offset by that? Did I ask it where it made sense?
So you're saying if HOA increases by $300, how much would that impact their purchasing power?
Mhm.
Well, that would be a good thing to talk about too, but I think more like how much is that, like an extra $50,000 on your loan or $100,000 on your loan, or what would that, like, for your payments to still be the same at the end of the day? Would that price of that condo have to decrease by
Mm.
100 grand or 200 grand, something like that? What?
Well, so like for me, for if the payments, let's say, for example, they decrease or increase by, let's say, $500 a month, that impacts purchasing power by about $100,000.
100.
So I mean, it's hitting a lot of people, right? That's why you're seeing a lot of condos because they're underinsured, unfortunately, per Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines. Plus, they made changes with the deductible requirements. That's really what's hitting a lot of the condos now. So they're having to increase that, which, unfortunately are really hitting a lot of those HOAs there on island.
Mm. And maybe, and again, maybe the price of the condos are going to come down to go up to the fact that the increase of that HOAs are going to happen. So, you know,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. So, thanks, Lance. But also, I think people need to know also the list to sales ratio for the condo, for the homes, single family homes in Kona. Do you have that information?
I do not have that pulled up. I
I think it was
apologize.
like something like 94%.
I think that's where we're
94,
at.
95. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is some, as I say, the good news for buyers that there's negotiating room. The good news for sellers is that condos still are selling or houses still are selling, but you need to probably like have a little bit of negotiation in that. So,
Real quick, I didn't mention the median price too. I forgot about that. I got sidetracked there. So median price a year ago was 1.215 million for a
Mhm.
single family home. It's at 1,080,000 right now. So it's gone down a little bit. And the condos have dropped from 538 to 535.
And you don't tell me this is happening market. This is because I still have two condos for sale. So, okay, Delaney, let's see what happens with these neighborhoods that you're tracking. So tell them a little bit about what the neighborhoods are and what's going on.
Okay. Hang on. Sorry, my dog.
My dogs went off too. I apologize, you guys. I was trying to close windows in the middle of talking. And they're
Dog.
Joy's working from home. Yeah, there's cats fighting outside, so he's losing his mind. My apologies. Okay, neighborhoods, Pualani Estates, and we're looking at April and May because I missed last month. So right now in Pualani Estates, there's 3 active listings. One at 975,000. It's been on the market 20 days. One at 995,000. It's been on the market 59 days. And one at 1,039,000, and that has also been on the market for 50 days. And none of those have had a price reduction, so they're just kind of hanging out. There is one under contract. It's listed for $1,049,000, and it had a $30,000 price reduction. And then there was one sale. That one actually 0 days in the market. So sorry. It sold for $1,099,000, and that was actually 50,000 over asking. It did have a pool, so that's kind of rare in that neighborhood. So those pool homes and Pualani Estates tend to pop pretty quickly. Yeah, so not a lot of activity, not a lot of activity last month. And prices, even though the market's slower, the prices they're hanging out for now. There's 3 listings they haven't reduced yet. They're just waiting out the slump, I think. And then Alii Lani, there's actually 8 active listings, which is a nice improvement. They're all 2 bedrooms. The price point on those, they're between $499,000 and $564,000. There's one that's listed for $899, but that's that weird double unit that doesn't.
Is that still for sale?
No, it goes off and on the market every once in a while. Every few years it comes off and on. So that one kind of doesn't count. Of those 8, the days on the market vary between 9 and 77 days. And of those 8, only 2 of them had price reductions. So they're also just
sitting,
hanging in there. Nothing under contract in there. And then there was 2 sales. One in April, one in May. April sale was $564,000. It was $5,000 over asking, 6 days on the market. May was a 3-bedroom. It sold for $580, was on the market for 30 days, and that was originally listed for $599. So they had a price reduction, and then it sold under that price reduction. But when you look at those that sold in April and May, they were under contract, probably February, March. So that was kind of before. So the sales that we're seeing for those last 2 months, I feel like those were kind of before we started to really soften, slow down.
See the slump.
Yeah. So I think next month, the next couple of months, we'll probably see a little bit more of those prices, longer days in market, lower sales price. And then Lahi Makai, there's 2 currently active listings. One is at 969,000 on the market 8 days, and the other one is at 989,000. 22 days on the market. Neither of those have had a price reduction. There is nothing under contract. And then there were 2 sales, both in April. One for 965,000, 23,000 under asking. It was on the market 120 days. And the other one sold for 1,075,000. 0 days on the market. It did sell for 24,000 under asking, and it had a pool. So again, sometimes there's pool homes in those neighborhoods, that's another neighborhood that you don't see them very often. So that one did move quickly, and I think it was cash. Like first day cash offer and get and ran. But again, 2 years in, the prices are not nosediving. They're kind of hanging out where they've been. I think over the last 6 months, we've been in the same range. The only thing that we're seeing is really longer days on market, more price reductions. But at the end of the day, you're still going to pay about the same in those 3 areas that you would have at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. So just again, it seems like the sellers are willing to hang out, right? That's at least in West Hawaii. Just if you don't need to sell and you can sit there and you really want your price for the house, it looks like sellers aren't budging at this point. It'll be interesting to see if they break. Okay. So thank you, Delania. That's information that it gives us an idea, kind of real time what's happening with people's thoughts here. Jana. What is going on with the big fat luxury market up along the coast? And also, is anything happening in terms of price breaking in Waikoloa Village?
So, yes, there's been a little bit of change in the Waikoloa Village because we've got 22 active listings right now, and they range from 585, which is a fixer, to 1,922,000, which is new construction, and the average days on market has been 128. So with the longer days on market and more listings, it feels like we have more available in Waikoloa right now. So that's currently in Mauna Lani, which is the same TMK. I split those out because they're just so wildly different that it kind of throws off your averages. So there are 8 right now in Mauna Lani, and they range from 4,600,000 to 32 million.
Wow.
Hence the average was being thrown off.
Give me that listing.
Right. And so the average days on market for those 8 is 159 days. So sold in the last month in Waikoloa Village, only 3.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, only 3 closed in the last month. And those were 898 to 1389, and the average days on market was 134 for the ones that closed last month. So that's happening. And this is very interesting. I thought the sales to original price ratio was 96%.
Okay.
So
that's 96. Okay, that's kind of like what Kona is at this point too.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Same time last year, there were 9 sold compared to the 3, and they range from 699 to 1395, but the average days on market was 54 compared to 134 this year. So that's that's pretty significant change. I think it's taking the sellers some time to adjust to these market changes, and so they're kind of having to drop their prices a little bit, but they're still starting off on a high price point. And after it sits on the market a ways for some time, they seem to be coming down a little bit more than they had been the year before. The condos in that same area in Waikoloa Village, there are 8 active right now, which is not very many for Waikoloa Village. We have some condos, 4 in Fairway Terrace, 1 Mauna Kai, which is super cute, 2 in Waikoloa Hills, and 1 in Waikoloa Village. They range from 410,000 to 615,000, and their average days on market are 63. Let's see. Last month, 8 were sold, 429 to 575. Average days on market 53.
Okay.
Now, the sales to original price on those is 98.6%. So it's a little bit closer to the list price on those. In Mauna Lani, there are 14 active condos. And keep in mind, in Mauna Lani, they're all going to be 100% short-term vacation rental eligible. In Waikoloa Village, some are and some are not. It kind of depends on the HOA. So that's something that's, I think, relevant to a lot of investors. In Mauna Lani, you have the 14 active are between $1,296,000 and $3,999,950. So 4 million. And the average days on market is 80 days. 7 sold last month with days on market of 24 and a 99.72 sales to original price. So pretty close in the Mauna Lani condos, a little bit different situation. Now, in the Huaco and Waikoloa Resort, you know, that's my favorite, that Puaco Beach Drive. But there is actually a new residential property that is active this month, and it's in Waikoloa Lots subdivision. And this is such a cool house. It's $20 million. So what happened on that Waikoloa Lot subdivision? I went into a little bit of a I don't know, a search for the details on this. Back in 1998, the Rolling Stones had a concert, and 4,000 people were there. It was like sponsored by Pepsi, and they put up a huge tent, and then they split it off into 12 different lots, and they don't come up very often at all. So this one's kind of a gem, but there is actually 3 in Puaco and 1 in that TMK that is in this special neighborhood, that Waikoloa Lot subdivision. That was basically, they cleared that land for this concert in 1989, which I think is kind of interesting.
Now, that's
Anyway,
$20 million for a house, not just for a piece of lot land, is it, right?
oh, it's a house. It's got a house.
Okay.
This house is 5,000 square feet with 4 bedrooms, an office, and its own theater room. And it actually has 124 feet of oceanfront.
Huh.
And it's a gated community. So it's really fantastic. I've seen one lot there in, oh gosh, probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But this house was built in 2007. So they don't come up often. So Puaco, there's one for 4.5 million, 6.875, and 8.950. Average days on market 166. And in the condominiums in 369, which is the Waikoloa Resort, there are 20 right now. And they range from 940,000 to 4,095,000 with average days on market of 74. And of course, all those are going to be short-term vacation rental.
Is that more than you've seen recently go up for sale?
Yeah, it does seem like we're getting a few more in the condo areas, I think. Definitely more so than we have residential.
Yeah.
4 sold last month, 949 to 1,199,000. Average days on market 8 days. So it's still doing pretty well.
Well, I think the investors are still out.
I think that's probably what this is. Sales to original price 98.73%. 2 shores, 1 fairway villa, and 1 vista. That's the current.
Okay.
Right. And then I just pulled up a few kind of random things. Up in Hawaii, there's 5, because we don't really talk about Hawaii, and it's a cute little town. And 885 to 7,490,000. So pretty big range up there, depending on what you're looking for. You can get some ranch land, you can get, farms that are already set up. There's a pretty big difference between some of those houses. Kapa'au, there's 10, 359 to 2,005,000, days on market 116. And then I pulled up dry side Waimea, there's 4 from 1,095,000 to 3,275,000 with days on market 47. So
Is there something available in Waimea finally? That market's been without for a long time.
Just 4 though.
Yeah, well, it's better than
Not a
zero.
lot. There's not a lot. Kohala Ranch has 2,495,000 and one for 3,995,000. There's nothing in Kohala by the sea. There's nothing in Kohala waterfront, and there's nothing in Kohala Kai, 0. So not a lot, not a lot going on up there. Sold in the last month, there were 2 in that Kohala area. 1,480,000 and 2,450,000, and the sales divided by the original price was 103. So they actually went more than list up there. But again, I think that's probably a result of there not being very many listings up there. So if you're looking for something up there, you don't have a lot of negotiating room if you're a buyer. So that's what
Okay. Thank you. That gives us a good picture of the whole experience up in North Hawaii. Okay, so let's swing around to East Hawaii. What's going on over there, Miss Amber?
Okay, so we'll talk about some of the stats and some of what I'm seeing over here. This is an interesting month. If anybody tuned into the East Hawaii market update. Okay, so in Puna, the median price for single family homes that have sold in the last month were 365,000, which was down a little bit from the month before where it was 395,000, and up a little bit from where we were at exactly a year ago, where it was 345,000 for a single family home in the Puna district. Again, keep in mind that includes a few different lava zones. So 1, 2, and 3. So your median price based on lava zone is going to be very different in the Puna district. And then let's take a look at the days on market, because that was an interesting stat this month. So the average days on market for all the homes that closed in May was 90 days. And that's the highest number I've seen in quite a while. I mean, maybe ever since we've been doing these updates for Puna. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check on that, but it's the longest number I've seen in a while. So homes are definitely sitting on the market longer overall in East Hawaii for sure. That's definitely something we're seeing. And compare that to the month before where it was 68 days on market. So we went from 68 days to 90 days. And a year ago, we were at, on average, 70 days on market, same time. So interesting stat there. Final list of sales price was 95% in Puna, which was a little bit closer than the month prior where it was 92.8%. And a year ago, it was 81.2%. So much different than a year ago too. So that's the Puna district. And I looked at a lot of houses in Puna this week. I looked at all the new listings that came on Broker Caravan, at least, and some of the new listings on Caravan were old listings that had been sitting for quite a while. And so they put them out to all the brokers again. So there are some gorgeous homes sitting ready for buyers in Puna. There's a lot in Hawaiian Paradise Park, new construction, older homes with character. So, if you are in a position, I think to buy right now, it's because of how long properties are sitting. And I did see that spike in the stat. I think that creates some buyer opportunity for all of you looking to buy. Yeah. Now let's look at the stats for the South.
Can I ask you a question about that though, real quick?
Oh, yes.
Remember you said there was like 5 $1 million homes also for sale in HPP. Have those moved at all? Do you know anything about that?
In HPP specifically. So what was your question on it?
Remember you said there was like really oddly there was 5 $1 million homes for sale all at the same time.
Yes. So it's a very high price point for Hawaiian Paradise Park, which is a neighborhood in the Puna district that we just talked about, that always has the most sales because it's just this massive subdivision. And so right now the highest listing in that subdivision is $1.689 million, which is a very high price point for Hawaiian Paradise Park. And the lowest, by the way, is $179,000. That is for a completely unpermitted home, however. But yeah, so when we did the East Hawaii market update this last month, there were 5 over $1 million. I'm just double checking that there still are 1, 2, 3, 4. Active now there is not quite 5. There are 3 right now. So a couple of them must have gone under contract. There's Properties though in the 900,000s, very close to the $1 million price point.
Mm.
So a lot of the homes that I have seen, and the reason why I think I'm seeing that trend is because a lot of them are have been historically vacation rentals, and there are people clearly trying to sell their short-term rental property right now, probably because of some uncertainty with legislation and different things like that.
Yep.
And yeah, this is a high price point. I'm seeing a lot of high price points in Hawaiian Paradise Park right now. Even, yeah, high sevens, high eights, high nines. Yeah, it is a little bit surprising. 93 active listings for sale in that neighborhood, which is more inventory than we've had, all year. So there's more and more coming on the market, which, makes sense. More of them are sitting on the market for longer right now. So those are the trends in Puna. And then any more questions about Puna? Did I get everything for Puna?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that because we talked about this and we're thinking maybe because the STVR uncertainty is causing some of that to happen. And I wanted to see if other people had come in and bought those houses up, and it looks like, they did. There's a butt for every seat.
Yeah,
So
yeah, there is. And you know what? For somebody who lives over in East Hawaii already, $1 million in a neighborhood like Hawaiian Paradise Park is pretty shocking. But there are a lot of buyers who are coming from different markets, even buyers from Oahu that see an oceanfront or near oceanfront very nice house for $1.6 million, and that looks like that's a great deal compared to other pockets of the state.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are buyers for that, but it is that's a high price point. So South Hilo is always a higher price point than the Puna district. So the median price right now is $510,000. There were 23 single family homes that sold in South Hilo the last full month with our MLS data, and those sat for a days on market average of 63. So less than the 90 days that we saw in Puna. 63 days is longer than it was last month, where it was 61 days. So a little bit longer than last month, a little bit longer than a year ago, where they were on average 58 days on market. As far as price goes for South Hilo, 510 was the median. The median the month before was 538. So we did see a little dip. And a year ago it was 492. So the prices are, not too much different than what they have been, but it is down slightly, just like in the Puna district from the month before.
There we go. Okay. Well, it looks like across the island we have, just sellers saying I'm hanging on and buyers saying I'm just kind of just doing my own thing. So I guess, that's why we're going to head right into Joe, is that is it a good time financially to buy a house with what's happening with the rates? So let's put the spotlight on old Joe here. Let's see.
Yeah. Well, technically, if you ask me that question, it's always a good time to buy real estate, right? So mortgage rates fell for this third straight week. So week over week fell from 7.02% to 6.94% on a standard 30-year fixed mortgage. So we're starting to see interest rates kind of head into that high sixes, kind of hover around there. I listened to kind of the Mortgage Bankers Association predicts that the 30-year fixed rate mortgage by the end of 2024 will be roughly about 6.5% is what they're predicting currently. I know I said this on the last meeting. I truly believe that we will see a Fed cut in September when they meet then. So good news is rates are headed in the right direction. I think we'll get there. I don't think we're going to get anywhere overnight in regards to interest rates, but I do start to see a little light at the end of the tunnel based upon kind of lower than expected inflation numbers. Inflation's kind of under control. We've said that now for the last couple of meetings, but pair that with higher initial jobless claims that I've also said on previous meetings that we need something else to kind of break along with inflation coming under control. We're starting to see jobless claims increase. So with those two factors, I do see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Kind of mortgage applications nationwide week over week are up 2% for purchases, but down 12% year over year. Refinances, oddly enough, are up 30% year over year. A lot of people are kind of settling into the new rates and taking advantage of debt consolidation, things like that. So again, I don't anticipate rates are going to just drop overnight or quickly, but I do see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
How long's that tunnel, Joe? 2 years?
I do anticipate we're going to have a low, steady decline up until 2026. And again, I don't think we're going to see rates in 2s and 3s again, right? Unfortunately, that would, that would need the Fed to cut their rate to 0% where they had it, which that's not sustainable, right? I do anticipate rates will hover at 4.5%, 5%, somewhere around there, but you're looking at end of 2026 based upon all the predictions that I see.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, there's something to look forward to, right? But you know what, though? The Fed is doing what they said they were going to do, and look at the housing market. The people have pulled out a little bit. Housing market, the prices aren't skyrocketing up, month after month. It's kind of like hanging. So,
Yeah, they need to
that's
kind of
it.
sustain that housing market, right? The rate of appreciation in Hawaii has been outstanding year over year. That's
Yeah.
not sustainable. If it is, then we should all buy real estate tomorrow, right?
Right. Yeah, if it keeps going up, it's like Nvidia.
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
that's not sustainable. So it's just more of a market correction.
mhm,
Again, if rates increase to 8% and that still didn't bring prices down, right? What's going to happen if rates do go down to 5.5%? Then we're going to bring this influx of buyers back into the market, which again is going to spur more activity and increase prices even more.
right.
So,
Yeah.
again, I'm not a big proponent on date the rate by marry the home, right?
Mhm.
You hear that all the time, but there is something to be said about purchasing, get in, earn the appreciation, and anybody that purchases now, I don't anticipate you would be in the mortgage long term, right? I see this more as a short-term mortgage, probably 2 to 3 years before we would refinance and lower the rate,
Yeah.
but earn that appreciation in that 2 to 3 years. Because even if the rates decrease, but the home increases in price, that doesn't help, right?
Yeah. Right, right, right. So if people wanted to like say, okay, I'm trying to figure this out in terms of like, because you know how to do these numbers. If it went down, let's say even 1 point, let's say 1 point over the next like year and a half, how much could they save? So that when how it kind of goes up, it goes down. What's the price of the mortgage? Like, so what is that? Like $200 a month? I mean,
Yeah, you're roughly a full point savings, I would guess, dependent on your loan size. It's going to vary dependent on your loan size, right? But a decrease at like an average loan amount of, let's say, 500,000 of a point would save you roughly about $250 a month in a mortgage payment.
okay. Okay. And that's converse of what we were just talking about when your HOA fees go up, what that it costs as well. So I would say to some of our people out there, again, as we always say, if you're in the market, please get pre-approved and figure out some of these, numbers. That way, if you want to jump in on something, as people have been saying, that some of these houses, like, Delaney was talking about a pool in the house, one like that. And, some of the other, like the investor condos are going like this. So obviously be ready if you're in a market where you're going to be competing, because obviously some of the market is still cooking, and, make a deal on the rest, right? Okay. So then that comes to a little open discussion real quick about what's going to happen with the industry come August, mid-August, where the NAR settlement, if you guys haven't heard about that, there's a massive lawsuit that basically is changing all over the way the real estate's being handled. And one of those things is that realtors are going to be required to have buyers sign an agreement. And that I think that people are not realizing that's actually coming, but it is coming starting on August 17th across the nation. This is going to be a thing. Since Lance is with the Hawaii Association of Realtors, and they're just revising all of their forms and getting ready for this, can you tell us a little bit more about what is going to happen? And we can have a discussion about how that's going to affect our buyers.
Sure. If you don't mind, I was going to just read the basic opening of the
Go
statement.
ahead, read it.
It says beginning August 17th, 2024, an MLS participant working with a buyer will be required to enter into a written agreement with the buyer prior to touring a home. That includes both in-person and live virtual tours. So if you're doing a virtual tour for somebody, you're not allowed to show the house until you've got that buyer's agreement signed. This resource provides information about what provisions must be included in the written agreement pursuant to the NAR settlement. So in NAR, because there was so much misinformation out there, went ahead and opened this up to the public, actually this site, so the public. So I do encourage people to take a look at it, because none of us on this group will be allowed to show you home without a buyer's agreement signed. So it's at facts.realtor. And everybody can look at that settlement agreement, what's going on there. So
I like that.
that's the big,
I'll put that in there.
yeah. So that's going to affect your listing agreements. It's going to affect your purchase contract, and of course, we've always had buyer's agreements, but they're changing it around now, some to do that, and then a cooperating brokers agreement. So
Right.
we'll have to go back to those.
Right. So one of the things too is that the MLS is no longer going to allow any of us to put what the commission is. So
Mhm.
that way it's all flat. We don't know if we're going to get paid. So part of this is also if there's homes, and I know Amber had one of these, was that the seller basically said, I'm not giving the buyer side a commission. So you have to make a deal with the buyer to pay for your commission if you want to come in and show this house and sell it.
So, interesting part to that, because I've had that discussion with clients. None of them have agreed to, they've all agreed to pay somebody. They see the value in that. But the interesting part, let's just use a round number. We're going to use a round number of $1 million for a home. And so you bring somebody comps over the last year, what the home's been selling for. And it's like, okay, I don't want to pay the buyer's agent. He's on its own. I was like, okay, great, because all these comps included the seller paying that, and you need to reduce these comps by that amount, to look at it. So that the buyer can actually offset that amount of whatever they're going to pay their person to do the work
Right.
that they want to do. So the intent of this is to get the buyers to understand that they are paying a fee for that, and that part of it's good. It's always been out in the open. Anybody that said that the seller was paying for their fee was incorrect. They weren't explaining it properly, but they want to make sure that that the buyers know that going in. So the sellers can still pay for the buyer's fee. They're just not allowed to tell them that they will publicly out on the
Out on the
internet.
MLS.
Yeah, so that part of us takes us back 50 years in what we've moved forward. But the good part about it is that everybody has to be clear on how they're getting paid, so the buyer understands that the sellers, you can interpret it a lot of different ways, and they've actually cautioned us on explaining how we interpret it. But that's the way the rules will be.
Yeah. So you might see the words like seller concession starting up, where they can say that they'll help pay for some of the closing costs and some other things. And so, yeah.
As long as it doesn't include the word compensation in it, it can't include that word. So you can say that. And I think the big thing that people are looking at is say you've signed an agreement with your buyer that you will work for a certain fee, and the seller happens to mention that we're going to give this much in concessions. The idea, what they're trying to do is to get that buyer that you've agreed to work for this amount, and that's all you're gonna work for. You're just because somebody's offering more, you can't do more, so it's
They can't get more than
than what you've agreed to work for. So
yeah.
the
So
good side of that is no longer can a seller tell me what I'm going to work for. Like, you're going to sell this home and you're only going to get paid. It's like, no, I've got 20 years of experience, and there's a lot of value that comes with that, 20 years of negotiations and stuff, and I'm not going to work for that. And so you've established that up front with your buyer from the beginning. So that's the good part.
yeah. And also, this also comes to the point where sometimes you'll show a person 8 houses and then they decide to go off with a different realtor and not tell you, and then they're in contract and then they tell you, oh, I'm not going to be using you anymore, and you've put tons of time and energy into showing them homes.
Yeah. So that'll be clear on these buyers agreements too, of
Once you
how
work with
long
it,
you're
right?
representing them.
And then the buyer's agreement will be for a certain time frame that you agree to work with the agent, and then they'll be the only ones who basically can show you homes and basically work with you on your deal. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So-
Some of them may be for an hour. You know, it's like somebody may just agree, I just want you to show me this one home and that's it, we're done. It could be a buyer's agreement for one MLS number, you know, one showing one day. They're here for a week. They want you to show them. They're going to sign up for a week. But, you know, you want to be careful. You want to look at what the protection period is on that too. So, you know, every realtor, there's no standard form coming out from NAR or anything like that. Now, your forms committee is working on forms, but those days and those protection periods will be all fillable, and they have to be to make sure that everybody understands it's not a standard fee. It's negotiable.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I know that our people are going to be starting to like make sure we get trained on how this all is going to go and stuff. So I think across the country, realtors are going to be learning a lot about how this is going to go. So I would suggest if you're going to be buying a home, that one of the reasons that we do have this team is that we do keep up with industry experiences, legislation, and everything else. So we know what we're talking about. I think part-time realtors are going to have a hard time because they're not going to be like Johnny on the spot in terms of understanding all this. So I do hope everyone understands that the people in this group are seasoned agents and they know what they're doing. I'm trying to think about for STVR bills, nothing's really changed, right? There's no movement on STVR for Hawaii County, right?
I've heard that they are softening it some. Whether that
Softening it? Okay.
Yeah, whether that's factual at the end, but that is, I hear that from good sources that they are softening that. There's been a lot of pressure. They're realizing they were doing a lot of taking. You know, they were taking property rights from people. So I do predict that it's going to soften quite a bit, but you never know till it's done, right?
Right. And so is there a time frame for when we're supposed to know one way or the other what's going on?
For some reason, I think there was something going to be changed. It may not be till after the primary in August, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So we'll see. You know, it's quite an interesting year if you're following the politics on the island here. Is some of these people that were really unopposed last election cycle, and one of the districts has, I think, 7 people running against them. It's like they're not happy. People are not happy, and they're standing up, and it's good to see. You know, it's good to see people stand up and say,
Yeah, and run.
yeah.
It's just at least it shows the politicians that people are watching and wanting something different, better, whatever. But it's interesting because I asked this for Amber too, because I think that indecision and not knowing has people kind of saying, am I selling my house or am I not? Should I get ahead of this thing or should I not? So and I know that some of the people that we're getting phone calls from who want to buy short-term vacation rental condos in Kona are using words like, well, are they going to just ban all STVRs in the whole island? We're like, no. And then, can we still buy a house and rent? And so everyone's kind of just waiting. It's got this like waiting thing going on. We're waiting for rates to fall. We're waiting for legislation to go. We're waiting for, it's like,
Election years are always like that, right?
it's like, I'll wait for the election to go through.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting when we all get back together again in like October to find out what the hell happened.
I'm interested to just see what happens in the primaries locally, in August, right? It's like, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. So does anybody else have another topic that they want to hit on? No, anything crazy happening? So we do have, if you're watching this in the next few days and you are anywhere near Kona, I'm putting on the parade and the fireworks, so please come. It's like, besides selling real estate, I'm also trying to save the parades and the fireworks. And I just, one of the things that we do as realtors, and Delaney helps me, we just help put together a painting crew to help a center for disabled adults that, we're definitely out there in the community trying to make things happen for you. So again, please get in contact with our people here. I put the information about how to contact them directly right into the description on the video. And we will do this again in July. And I know that sometimes people are on vacation and stuff, so I'll make sure all of our people understand. We'll get hopefully Andy back. He was sick, and so you'll hear what's going on in South Hawaii. So with that, I wish everybody a very happy 4th of July, and we'll see you guys in mid-July, probably around the 18th. So thanks, you guys, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Julian. Really the info you guys too. Appreciate it.
Thanks for you too.